today. Is Song Yadong versus Piotr Yan the next fight that we need to see at bantamweight? Or could it be Davison Figueiredo versus either man? And what about Andre Muniz? Did he really beat the Iron Turtle? Did he really beat the Iron Turtle? And in an unforeseen turn of events, something that a fortune teller could never have predicted, shockingly, Anthony Smith has lost another fight. All of this and more on today's episode of Matter of Fact MMA. What's up? What's happening? Let's go. We are fresh off of another UFC Apex event in which Song Yadong goes in the main event bantamweight competition against Chris Gutierrez and defeats him. Straight up, this was just like, this was a good fight. I wouldn't say it was super back and forth. Most of it was Song Yadong trying to impose himself on the feet against Chris Gutierrez, and Chris Gutierrez keeping him at bay with kicks, a few punches, few jabs, but mostly kicks, and a lot of good footwork, a lot of good movement. And the interesting thing about this, my main takeaway, main note that I had about this fight is Song is a gangster. Song went out there and straight easy-E'd Chris Gutierrez. In the build-up to the fight, Chris Gutierrez is being respectful. He's saying good things about Song Yadong. Song is out here talking about this is going to be an easy fight. This shouldn't be too difficult for me. I'm going to defend my ranking. I'm going to defend my spot. Just straight up, in any one of those pre-fight interviews, they could have just had like the little black sunglasses drop down and just drop down over his eyes, because that's how gangster he was. He didn't seem to be too worried about Chris at all. When they stepped into the octagon, it was the same way. He kept that same pace, that same body language, that he just wasn't worried about anything Chris was going to do in there to him. He stayed very calm, very composed throughout the fight, and also was a little dismissive. Maybe a lot of dismissive, you know what I'm saying? He's making faces at the dude. He's kind of like, it ain't nothing. Every time, Chris would land a leg kick or some sort of a strike, Song would just kept strong with it. Nah, okay, big deal. All right, whatever. And then he would fire back. So it just kind of showed you the mentality between these two fighters, because you could tell that this meant everything to Chris Gutierrez. And for Song, this was like a stepping stone to get to a bigger fight like one with Piotr Yan. So Song goes out there, he defeats Chris Gutierrez. He never really seemed to be in trouble. Chris did catch him with a crazy front kick, that really knocked his head all the way back. He looked like a Pez dispenser. He was like, pow! You know what I'm saying? But, Song was cool though. He didn't wobble or anything, just knocked his head back and he kept it going. So, what are you going to say, man? Song Yadong goes out there, he gets the win. There's been a little chitter-chatter, a little talk going on between Song and Piotr Yan, which is why I was saying that at the top of the show. That is definitely a direction the UFC could go in. But also I've kind of heard rumblings of Davison Figueiredo looking to fight Piotr Yan. And now that I think about it, throw Davison in there with Song. You know what I'm saying? Let's see that scrap. You know what I'm saying? Let's see these two dudes throw hands. The scrambles would be crazy. The wrestling would be crazy. I'd love to see those two fight. But I'd love to see either man versus Piotr Yan. So we're going to see where the UFC is going to go with that. Moving on. We also had in the co-main event, Anthony Smith. Anthony Smith, bro. I don't really know what to say about Anthony Smith. We keep doing this experiment where ever so many months, Anthony Smith goes in the octagon and shows us why he's brittle, why his body is not holding up, and why I just don't understand why. I know why he continues to fight. It's what he does. He wants to earn a nice paycheck. He wants to provide for his family. But man, they already gave you a desk gig. You know what I'm saying? Like they already gave you a shot. You know, you're already on the desk. You know, I would really hone and perfect my craft and see if you can, you know what I'm saying, get a seat at the table with Bisbing and John Anik and Joe and DC. You know what I'm saying? Like, don't keep going out there and taking these L's. You know what I'm saying? So Saturday night, we saw Anthony Smith step in there with Khalil Roundtree Jr. And it was just clear. I mean, Khalil comes out. He's intense. You know what I'm saying? He comes out there and he just seems so focused and he's like jacked and he's like keeps flexing and his leg, you know what I'm saying? His traps is popping and you're like, bro, what are you doing? But at the same time, you knew what he was doing. He was preparing to murder a man. You know what I'm saying? It was going to be some in-octagon homicide going on. You know what I'm talking about? And so you're watching this, and then here comes Anthony Smith. He comes out, you know, shout out to Anthony Smith coming out, Return of the Mac, I should say, his patented song. Always gives everybody a feel-good feeling, but for his last few fights, I know he won his fight just before Saturday night. But I mean, bro, it's a weird feeling because you get all amped up hearing Return of the Mac, and then once the music ends, you know, Anthony Smith is about to go out there and take another L. Yet another L. You know what I'm saying? How many L's? Another L. I don't know how, another one. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, bro, how many more times do we got to have this experiment? Now, to Anthony Smith's credit, I will be honest. He looked good for as long as the fight lasted. You know, he was taking a lot of punishment from Khalil, but at the same time, Anthony was hanging in there. He was firing back. He was trying to get his counter shots off, but Khalil Roundtree was just a lot quicker and a lot more accurate. You know what I'm saying? And that's just what that was. And you could tell Khalil was prepared. He was ready. Now, this was relatively short notice for Anthony Smith, but at the same time, Anthony Smith has got to quit doing this, bro. Like, bro, we know that you made it to the top of the top at one point, and you was right there, and you was in the octagon with John Jones. We know this, bro. But at this point, man, like, you got a job on the desk. You know what I'm saying? Just chill, bro. You don't have to keep going out here and taking years off your life, taking all this damage. And so, you know, I mean, basically what you end up seeing, fairly back and forth fight, but at no point did you feel like Khalil Roundtree was in danger. And then we hit that moment. We hit that moment where Anthony Smith gets caught with a devastating punch. Devastating from Khalil Roundtree. And I mean, the way it floored Anthony Smith, the way he was laying on the ground and his eyes were large and he didn't look like, he had no idea what just happened to him. Anthony Smith looked like he got hit with an out-of-date truck with expired tags. You know what I'm talking about? Like one of them older trucks. Like it's like a 2010, you know, a 2008. You know what I'm saying? Just an old truck. Expired tags, so you know they ain't giving a damn about nothing. And they just came in and ran him over. You know what I'm saying? And you know, no insurance on the truck either. You know what I'm saying? Don't ask the driver, can I get your insurance? He ain't got none. You know what I'm saying? It was just like, the way Anthony Smith was laying on the ground was a sight to be seen. Because you could tell, I was looking at him when his eyes was all big, and I'm like, yeah, bro, you did this to yourself. Khalil Roundtree didn't do this to you. You did this to yourself. You didn't have to step in there. You definitely didn't have to go in on short notice. Now you looking up at the lights. You know what I'm saying? You just got back in the win column, Anthony. Why roll the dice and risk it that quickly and go back in there? Now you looking up at the lights. And I mean, no telling, his face is all busted up. No telling what type of damage he's got now. Every time he goes in there, a leg broke, teeth would come out like chiclets. I mean, you know what I'm saying? Broken orbitals. I mean, Anthony Smith has done had a whole Rolodex of injuries. So, you know, shout out to Khalil Roundtree, who also in the post-fight interview went ahead and took his shot. You know what I'm saying? He staked his claim for a shot at Alex Pereira. And honestly, in a world where the UFC is scrambling trying to make UFC 300, I can't see it being the main event, but I could definitely see it being 2 out of 3 title fights, if not just 1 of 2 title fights on that show. You know what I'm saying? So shout out to Cleo Roundtree. I'm not saying he's going to get the fight, but in this new day and age of the UFC, they'll make that fight. You know what I'm saying? It won't be the headliner, but they'll make that fight. You know what I'm saying? If you don't think they won't trot Alex Pereira back out there for UFC 300, I mean, Alex Pereira's appointment television. You know what I'm talking about? So we'll see how all of that goes down. Nevertheless, shout out to Cleo Roundtree. Goes out there, gets a win. Good Lord. We know that Anthony Smith is not done, so we'll see where he wants to go from there. So I don't know. We also had Nasrat Haqparast step in there with Jamie Mullarkey. And, you know, if you would have watched my pre-fight breakdown of that, then you might have won a little money on DraftKings like your boy did. Because old Nasrat went out there and did his thing like I said he was going to do. One thing I did not have right in my prediction of that fight is Jamie Mullarkey is officially chinny. I said before that he was in that realm, like he was in, like, if it's like a meter, you know what I'm saying? Right here is chinny. And I felt like he was kind of creeping on that line of being chinny. Now he's deep in the chinny zone. You know what I'm saying? Homie is chinny. See? That's how quickly you could knock him out. Homie is chinny. You know what I'm saying? Extra chinny. I mean, bro, the hairs on his chinny chin, this man is chinny. And so now Nasrat goes out there, gets a big win. It was good to see. Awesome for his confidence, boost him up. The UFC can put him back out there, and we'll see if he can go on a little run. You know what I'm saying? I ain't saying he's going to the title or nothing, but I'd like to see him on a good little 4-fight win streak. You know what I'm talking about? A little 5-fight win streak. So we'll see where he goes from there. But, you know, it was awesome to see him go out there and get a win. And it was also awesome getting a little bit of that DraftKings money. DraftKings, holla at me. Matter of fact, MMA, holla at me, DraftKings. Let's make some money together. You know what I'm saying? I'm betting with y'all every weekend. I'm out here spreading the word. Let's move on. We also had, as I spoke about on the top of the show, Andre Muniz goes out there and gets a decision win over the Iron Turtle, Jung Young Park. Man, look, dude, let's just, I'm not even going to beat around the bush. Andre Muniz should be ashamed of himself. You're stealing money, Andre Muniz. You're stealing money. You're going out there with your no damage and doing self because you didn't do no damage. You're taking this man down. You're holding him down the whole fight. Every time the Iron Turtle gets back to his feet, you pulling him back down, but you're not doing no damage, brother. Where's your elbows? Where's your punches? Where's your ground and pound? Or where's your offensive submissions, bro? You know what I'm saying? Iron Turtle's out there, gets taken down, gets right back up. Then Iron Turtle gets a full mount on you at the end of the first round, have you looking silly. Then you go out there, you kind of did your thing, you controlled him during the second round. But then, in a travesty, the Iron Turtle gets on top of you again in the third round, did enough damage, in my opinion, to win the fight, yet they give it to Andre Muniz. Come on, bro. Iron Turtle put together like a 4-fight winning streak, bro. That was something that nobody saw coming. I'm not out here again saying he was going to the title, but dude, come on, bro. You know what I'm saying? I don't mind the Iron Turtle losing, but at the same time, bro, Andre Muniz, you know you're stealing Dana White's money. You're stealing money because you know you didn't do no damage. You know you didn't really. What did you do to the Iron Turtle, Jung Young Park? What did you do to him other than hold him down? And it was almost like one of those fights where clearly the Iron Turtle did more damage, but yet they gave it to Andre Muniz. Like, it's like one of those, like, you know, mid-2000s UFC fight where all you had to do was take the guy down, lay and pray, and you was going to win by the scorecards. And that's not even what the scoring criteria is now. But nevertheless, Andre Muniz goes out there, gets the win. And I'm just like, bro, I mean, I'm not saying it was a robbery, you know what I'm saying? Nobody put on a black ski mask and pulled out a pistol. But at the same time, dude, come on, bro. Andre Muniz. Andre Muniz, you know. Come on, bro. You know you didn't win that fight. Come on, man. You know with your no damage doing self. You know you didn't do nothing, bro. Tim Elliott goes out there and gets a big win against, let's see, I'm going to mispronounce his name. Samundari. Mr. S. Tim Elliott goes out there and gets a win against him. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to Tim Elliott, veteran flyweight fighter, you know what I'm saying, willing to step up, take a fight at bantamweight as well, as he said in his post-fight interview. You know, shout out to him, man. He's an awesome competitor. He's always wild. He's always unorthodox. And his jiu-jitsu is world-class. So shout out to him. He goes out there, gets a submission win there over a good young prospect. So we'll see where they match up Tim Elliott. He actually said he's willing to fight on the card this weekend. So, I mean, that'd be interesting. I don't know if they even got a spot for him. I don't know. Somebody might fall out due to a bad weight cut. Who knows? But shout out to him. He's already ready to go back into the octagon. How about Song Kanan versus Kevin Jousset? This man, I mean, he goes out there and he tortured his opponent for 3 rounds, bro. I mean, he tortured him with solid, stiff jabs to the face. You know what I'm saying? Bruised his face up, cut his face up. I mean, he did work. Devastating leg kicks, good body work. And he just it was like he was waterboarding his opponent. You know what I'm saying? He just tortured him for 3 rounds. He never truly tried to knock him out or take him to the ground, submit him to get out of there. He just basically left him in there and was like, you know, nah, bro, you're going to get these hands. You're going to get these leg kicks for 3 rounds straight. This is what you're going to get. This is what you signed up for. And this is what I'm giving you. There was no animosity between these 2 guys. But, I mean, he literally tortured this man for 3 rounds. So, shout out to Jousset. You know, he is coming out of the city kickboxing crew. You know, he is probably somebody I should have mentioned in my last video as a prospect. Because we know the rest of the guys, including you, Dan Hooker, Mr. Chinny Chin Chin, you know what I'm saying? The rest of them, they might be having a few issues. But Jousset, Carlos Alberg, them two, they on their way to the Tizop, you know what I'm saying? It was a decent card, you know what I'm saying? A couple of good scraps. Wasn't really all that, but at the same time, you know, it was something to watch outside of watching a little NBA that night. So, nevertheless, guys, I appreciate you all for joining me for another episode this Saturday night. We got the next major show, UFC 296, going down. So, I'm definitely anxious to see that. Anxious to see the press conference this week. We got Dusty Ian Machado Gary and his WAG showing up. We also got Kobe Covington. We got Leon. You're letting him bully your son. Rocky Edwards. He's going to be there. So it's going to be very interesting to see welterweight championship on the line. You know, good Lord. They're going to trot Tony Ferguson out there. Bring David Goggins with you. You know what I'm saying? Because you're going to need some help. And Patty Piblin ain't even good. But it's like, Tony, I don't know why we got to keep doing this experiment. Tony is like a smaller version of Anthony Smith. Can we stop doing this experiment? Nevertheless, I appreciate you guys for joining me for another episode of Matter of Fact MMA. And I'll check you next time. Peace.